2020 once more, and welcome to another episode of the One Micronesia podcast. This episode, a very special one for me. And first of all, I just want to go ahead and say Ali Rananim, Lemo Castellier, Yahweh, Mogadin, and Hafaday. With us in studio, like I said, for a very, very special one that I've always been looking forward to have is a sit down with the one and only Consul General of the FSM here on Guam, the one and only Teresa Filipin. Hafaday. Moitin, come on.
Moitin, come on. Can we speak Yapese throughout the whole
We
thing?
can. We'll try to throw in some Yapese translation captions in there, subtitles, whatnot. But
come on. Thank you for having me.
Let's start with you. If you ask me, I can give a little background of who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Not really, but just a little quick general information. But for people out there who don't know you, who don't know Teresa Filipin, let's take it back for you. Little history.
Okay. Not that much history. Those that don't know me, my name is Teresa Filipin. I'm from Yap. Prior to coming to Guam, I was the director of the Department of Education under Tony Gonyan's administration. Then prior to that, I was with the College of Micronesia for about 11 years, directing a federal program called Upward Bound. It's a trio program for high school students. And I'm a full-time mom, or I used to be. Now my kids are away at school. So it's just me and my husband here in Guam. We came here a little bit over a year now. I was first appointed back in October 2018 as the Consul General for our FSM Consulate General's Office here in Guam. And then recently reappointed under the current president, the Honorable His Excellency David Panuel. So here I am, a little bit over a year, and trying to, fill some very, very big footsteps left by my predecessors. The operative word here is trying.
And yes, you are, and we're going to get to it. We're going to get to all the things, the programs, everything you guys got in place right now that you guys are working on that I see is a very, very, very honestly a very good thing, and we're going towards the right direction, and that's what everybody wants to see. So, and I just want to throw in there real quick and mention that you said the predecessors, people before you who have taken the position have done such an awesome job. But can I say, and I heard this from somewhere, that you are the first female Consul General here of the FSM here on Guam. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much. As far as I know, yes, the first female. Not that I'm big on the gender issue, why, if there's going to be big differences because I'm female or not, it's a job. And when I was first asked by then former President Peter Christian to take up this post, I was hesitant. Really, because I was aware, even being on YAP, I was aware of the many challenges facing our citizens here in Guam. But then, I thought, somebody needs to come and help, and he had the trust in me to be able to carry out the work that former consul generals were doing. So here I am, and it's not about gender. I don't believe, I believe in gender equality, and I believe that, any job, for a job, a man or a woman can do it, equally. So.
And you talked about the issues when you were offered the position. You thought of, and you knew the issues that you were about to face. And let's get right into it. We had the town hall meetings, and I know a lot of them happened right after this in Mangilao. Let's take it back to those town hall meetings, and I want to hear it from your perspective. You sat there, and the many issues that were brought up, and just to name a few, safety was one of them, crime was one of them, alcohol and drugs, race relations, and stuff like that. And you were sitting there as people came up to the mic, presentation after presentation after presentation, and you heard concerns, and you heard the people and what they wanted to just voice. What was going through your mind as each of these topics were talked about?
It wasn't only concerns that I heard. I heard anger, frustration,
Right. Okay.
all kinds of you know, you name it, all kinds of reactions. And you know, it was, to me, the very first meeting, town hall meeting, took place in Mangilao, and I believe that was, it wasn't as well organized as the later ones. It was the incident in Mangilao that triggered the whole sessions of town hall meetings. It was very fresh in everybody's mind. It just happened like a week after the incident, after the governor called an emergency meeting, and then tasked the Department of the police department, the consul general office, and the mayors and everybody to come together and work on solutions, or at least answers to the issues that have been arising. And the first session in Mangilao, I think it was, like I say, it wasn't as well organized or well facilitated, and there was it was to the point that I felt like everybody needed to be pointing fingers at somebody, and I was, representing the FSM government at that meeting. So I was, very, very understandable, the reactions that came out of that meeting, but a lot of good things too came out of the meetings after that. People were more calm, and they were more clear-headed in coming up with, these are the issues, and coming up with possible solutions, or even approaches to addressing some of these issues. So I think it was, after the last town hall meeting, the governor has put together, from the governor's office, they've put together, the prevailing issues, or the ones that kept coming up, and even suggestions and recommendations from the community members that were at the town hall meetings. And so, in a nutshell, it was both. I think it was a cleansing opportunity for some of the community members. They voiced their frustration, and along with those frustrations and anger was also possible, ways to look at how we can all come together and work on addressing some of the concerns and issues. And right after that, because of the Mangilao incident, the FSM Association, working very closely with the consulate office, put together a task force from the active members of the association, and because of the issues and concerns that arose from the community, the different communities that we visited, we were able to look at, identify all of these issues, and then put them in order of priority on the prevalent or the most recurring ones. And that's what the task force, and that's how the task force was created. And we've put together, not only identify the issues, but then put, how do we address the different issues? What are the resources that we need to tap into, or, make accessible to us, so that we can try to, mind you, the task force was not created to have answers to all of our issues or challenges here on Guam, but created so that we can make observations and listen to the community, listen to the people, what they're saying, and how we can assist in be facilitators in the collaboration and the cooperation that needs to happen, so that we can at least find approaches, not solutions. I think there's a big misunderstanding. People look to the office as the answer to everybody's problems.
That's true.
And we want to make sure that people know that we don't have the answers. We cannot say, okay, overnight this is going to happen, because there's so many factors that are there are so many things that needs to come into play to make things work. And we have our leadership in the FSM, we have our leadership here on Guam, we have the community members, we have our own people that are in the community that we need to reach out to them and share with them. Okay, these are what's happening. How can we collectively come together and see how we can mitigate or improve on these situations?
Okay. So the FSM, let's bring it back to the FSM task force, because that's where I think that's where we're taking the fight back. This is where we are like, you know what, we can find, and you said maybe not a solution, but find a way through this. And the FSM task force is the answer. So, real quick, who's a part of this task force?
Okay, the task force, like I said, is comprised of active members of the FSM Association. When I first came in, there was established a FSM Association with members from each of the 4 different FSM states. Now, over the past several months, we've kind of the association has evolved, and we also have members that are not FSM citizens, and they're very supportive, and they're our biggest advocates. Our biggest advocates here in Guam. So the task force basically arose from active members of the FSM Association, people that we see that are that are not just saying words but are putting actions to words. So they came up with like I said earlier, identifying the prevalent challenges and issues, and then trying to find resources. Mind you, I keep repeating this. Their ideas and plans are not. We're not saying they're 100% full. Proof that they'll solve our challenges. Their suggestions and their recommendations, and they're listening to other people and to other organizations and to our community members, listening to them and making observations on how to improve on things that are happening here. So going back to the task force members, it arose from the members of the FSM Association, and we're open to anybody. I just recently, reached out to the mayor's consul to have representatives from the mayor's office or at their somebody representing them to the task force. It could be a FSM citizen, in their community, in the mayor's community, to be part of the task force. We have somebody from the lieutenant governor's, the governor's office as a member of the task force. So it's pretty. It's not the composition is just not delegated to FSM citizens.
So, and the task force is doing such a great job. You already have set goals, like you said, to tackle the different issues. Let's talk about some of the issues, and you can rank it from what's at the top of the agenda, and you can go all the way down.
Okay. Like, what we talked about earlier, about the different or the main issues that came out of the town hall meetings, or, really safety, crime, alcohol, drugs, and race relations. And I think for the top 3, alcohol and drugs are really the culprit or the main cause of most of these things that are happening. Issue of crimes and issues of safety really arise because of over abuse or constant abuse of alcohol and drugs. So the task force, like I said, we don't have the answers, but we're looking for programs and what's out there, the resources that are out there that can help improve on the situations that we're facing. So when you talk about alcohol and drugs, how can the task force, this small, newly created task force, attack this challenge? So we're looking at, of course, it goes beyond, our control. We cannot tell the stores, what commodity to sell. We cannot regulate the sale, who to sell to. Yeah, there's already a law in place. You have to reach a certain age to be able to purchase and consume. However, it doesn't happen that way. So instead of, we cannot, because there are things that are beyond our control. There are things that we can help with, like, have workshops. In outreach programs in the community, talk to youths and teenagers about the negative effects of alcohol, consumption of alcohol. This is what happens if you consume alcohol. If you're underage, the getting thrown into jail, or things like that, or there's the tendency of being belligerent and then just getting to fight. So trying all of that, the things that we can help with and the things that are beyond our control. And then we looked into how, what can we do in our outreach programs?
Okay.
And that's one of the biggest tasks right now for the FSM task force is the outreach program. And the first one that I'm, with this podcast, I that's why I agreed to have this podcast after all this time, is so that to make the announcement of the FSM, the youth summit that we're planning.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, and going back to your question of what are we doing to address some of the issues that arose from the town hall meetings, and so one of the activities that we have planned is a youth summit, and we're launching. I mean, we're kickstarting the first one on February 1st.
Okay.
And it's going to be in Jigo, Simon Sanchez School in Jigo, and we're targeting youths from the ages of 14 to 18. Whether they're in school or not. And we're also going to reach out to the mayors and have them send us recommendations on who in their community, they feel like, they can benefit from this youth summit. It'll be a 6-session summit in 6 different villages or 6 different areas of Goa, of the whole island. Mm-hmm. For its summit, we're targeting a total of 100 participants. We're hopeful that we can get at least that much or even more. We're encouraging youths to attend. And it's the 7 habits of being an effective teenager.
I just had a podcast with
Shannon. Yes.
And she she broke it down for me, the difference, the 7 habits, and she went into detail of each of the 7. And I think and I told her, I was like, that's key. That's the key right there. Because we can go on and talk to the parents and kind of like tell them like, hey, this is what, but I think our target should be the youth. And I know you are a very, very big advocate of education.
Yes. Education is key.
Exactly.
Believe me, and we're always saying this. You learn something new every day. Mm-hmm. That's education. You get your education under a coconut tree or on the road or in a classroom, anywhere, in any environment, and you learn something new, and that's education. How you use that information is really up to you, the individual. So the whole idea, and I really want to give credit to this youth summit to John Howard and Patrick Maloney. They're the ones who approached me at the office about starting having a program where we can bring together FSM youths and talk to them. So when they gave me their proposal, I told them, let's work on this and submit it for funding. Because the office, our office is, we have very limited funding, and we don't have the budget for a summit. So we did that with their idea. They're the ones that came up with the idea. With their idea, we put this together, and we sent it out for funding, and we received funding, and we're very grateful for the FSM Congress. They've given us some money to be able to conduct this 6-session summit for our youths here on Guam. We're very also fortunate working with Shannon's office. They're the ones, facilitating the summit. But we're also looking forward to, with this advertisement and awareness, encourage people in our community to be a part of this effort, to be a part of this activity, because I really believe that if our youth sees that we're behind them, supporting them, encouraging them, motivating them, then the worst thing that can happen is for things to remain as is.
Right.
That's just the worst thing that can happen. But we're really looking for improvement, and like I said, there's just a lot of things that comes into play. But if you can be a part of the small thing or that small piece that moves things forward, then that's really what we're looking forward to. And we're encouraging all of our Micronesian community to come together and take part in this and show our youths that, there's so much more than just hanging out by the road, in the evenings or on the weekends.
I like how you brought that one, and I want to just get into that just a little bit, where the bringing the community together, and how you know, because if the youth continues to see more bad things in the news, more bad things that the FAS citizens are committing, or the crimes, it might look like, oh, that looks, if they're doing it, I guess we can do it too because it's good. But if we change that whole mindset, so like, hey, we're gonna stick together, we're gonna go to this
Perspective.
summit, we're gonna stick together and you know, create other activities and stuff that we can do, or to give back to the island of Guam for hosting us for all these years.
And you're absolutely right, and that's, you know, that's why I keep saying this. You know, it's all about public perception, because for some time now we're all getting our information from what comes out in the media.
Okay.
We see, okay, every day we look at the paper, or we see on social media, okay, somebody committed this, somebody did this, somebody did that. But has there come a time yet where we're seeing success stories?
And I think we need more of that. We need more of the success.
Exactly.
And because when you look at it, if you weigh this on a scale, the positive outweighs the negative.
Much more so.
Yeah.
But nobody sees that. Nobody hears that. There, like 10 people are doing something really great. You know, they're, you know, outstanding members of their community. They're pillars in their communities. But their efforts are not, you know, nobody sees that. Nobody hears that. But the one person that does something bad, that's what everybody sees. So that is one of the goals of the task force, not only to help, you know, improve on the challenges that we're facing, but also to showcase the successes of some of our citizens here. And look at students, for example. You know, we don't see their success in school,
Right.
their you know, their GPAs and how they're graduating from GCC or UOG with honors and all of that. But once a fight breaks out in one of the schools, that's what we see on, you know, every day. That's not every. I don't mean every day, but that's what we see on the news that whole day, about that fight. But we don't pay much attention, or we don't give credit to those that are contributing, to those that are, you know, in fact, in students that are, you know, outstanding students in their schools. We don't see much of that.
And I think, like I said, when we go back to weighing it, the positive outweighs the negative in so many ways. Let's talk about the so the youth summit is set and it's it's gonna happen.
It is going to happen. The first one is happening in, like I said, at Simon Sanchez on February 1st.
Okay.
We're going to send transportation to pick up the participants. We're looking at, like I said, at least 100 participants for each of the summit. We'll be busing them. We'll provide, you know, lunch, because it's a whole day session. So we'll be, you know, of course, feeding them. And we've reached out to our students at UOG and ZCC to be volunteers.
Nice.
To help facilitate.
Good.
Facilitate the sessions, and of course the task force members, FSM consulate staff will all be taking part in making sure that, because these are underage kids, right? So we need to separate them while they're at the session, and at the same time, you know, make sure that when we move from village to village, the awareness is out there.
Okay.
That this is what we're doing. Please bring your child, or bring that student to be part of the summit. You know, like I said, the worst thing that it can do is for things to remain as is. But the best thing is a little bit improvement from where we're at today. Yeah.
So again, before we're kind of about ready to wrap things up, I just want to know. And for people have been asking the question. You know, because your office is doing really good now, are up to the task, and like I said, the task force is there, and we're pushing forward. What's the word from the FSM national government? Because I know, like you said, you just said Congress just approved the funding
Yes,
for that.
yeah.
And I know the president is really looking at this in a good way. Have you talked to him lately? What has been the convo?
Okay.
Conversation?
The conversation has been that we all know that we have a lot of challenges here. So they're, you know, supporting the efforts of the association, of the FSM association and the task force. So by supporting those efforts, they're putting in resources and funding
Okay.
to be able to, to implement the activities on the ground. They're not only by ways of providing financial support, but they're also very encouraging of, what the type of outreach that we're planning right now. Reach out into the community, work with the local government, the leadership of of Guam, and also work with the state leadership in seeing how we can, have some awareness program in place where we can, not educate, but make people aware of what's out there before, moving abroad. If you go to Guam and you don't have a driver's license and you need a driver's license, where do you go to? Those type of information. So the awareness should be out there, and that's, they're very encouraging and supportive of that. So yeah.
And is that part of the mandatory orientation that? Is that something that's already, is it an idea to happen?
It is an idea
Okay.
to happen. I don't know if mandatory is the right word, but we're encouraging people to at least identify or state their intentions of moving abroad.
Okay.
That way, it'll not only open up opportunity to provide awareness programs, but also for the consulates and the embassies on the ground to have a tracking system of our citizens' movements. Yeah.
So, pretty much wrapping things up here. I want to ask this one. I just wanted to throw this one in. This is huge. The compact expires in 2023. We have 3 more years left. What are your thoughts? Should we renew, or is the FSM finally ready to stand on its own?
Okay. I think that's the misunderstanding that everybody has right now about the Compact of Free Association. It's not expiring. The Compact of Association Free Association between the United States and the FSM is not expiring. There are provisions in the Compact, financial provisions to be specific, that is expiring in 2023. Now, the recent word from our government, from both governments, is that they're going to renegotiate the expiring provisions of the Compact.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the reason why I said that is because now that we know that some things are going to be revised, so there's going to be more and more after 2023. And the reason why I set that in place, because and I'm going to go back to the FSM task force. The reason why we're doing is, and maybe if they renew it for how many more years, I don't know, because all the legalities and stuff, that's up to the big people and the FSM, the GEMCO, whoever's in place that. But if it gets renewed, that means we have more time here on Guam, more time to live our lives here on Guam, and that's where we come back to FSM task force, that if we as a community come together and do this and show and make this ripple effect of the goodness of the FSM people, the compact, when maybe renewed, people look at it and say, oh yeah, they're cool now, because we've done all this good in the community, that now that we're going to live here for another 20 years, another 50 years, that people will look at it as like, okay, so they've changed, we've hit obstacles here and there, but now we've changed because we've worked together, we've found solutions, and we're moving forward. And so how many years there is to be renewed, the people, and I'm saying the people in Guam will look at it as a way and say, okay, you know what, we were wrong. There are good people in this world, and that's how they did it. They accomplished it by working together as a community, and they've moved forward in to making things right.
I don't know. From all of that, I think there's another misunderstanding that needs to be cleared. The compact is an agreement between the United States and the FSM. Our behaviors or our actions in the jurisdictions has nothing to do with the compact. The compact is an agreement between two sovereign nations bilateral agreement on their movement, on financial assistance, financial support, movement meaning immigration status and all of that. But our action, so the compact basically gives us the privilege to be able to have free movement in the United States and its territories. Now, our actions as community members in the states and the territories is entirely different than the compact. That's our personal own behavior. So if we choose to move to Guam, for example, yourself, you chose to move to Guam because I know that Chris Malfunction came to YAP, and that's how all of this happened. But then you moved here, and you want to improve, your life, enhance your career. That's really you. The privilege was given to you through the compact to be able to have that movement, without any immigration limitations.
Right.
So whatever you do with your, moving abroad is really up to you, whether you make the best of it or not.
Well said.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that pretty much concludes all the stuff that I had prepped. Is there anything else you wanted to mention before?
I have one quick announcement, if I may.
It's out there.
I'm sorry to all other FSM states, but this is for Yapis out there who are living here on Guam. There are delegates, Yap delegates to the FSM CON will be visiting us this Saturday, January 25th at 1 o'clock at the FSM Consulate building, the town hall building. It's a consultation between the delegates and the Yapis that are living on Guam. So if you have any questions about the Constitutional Convention that is ongoing right now, or if you have things that you want to, because this is the time to come out and share what you have. The Constitutional Convention, the delegates are going to review the Constitution, and then they're going to make amendments. And these amendments, we need to have our voices in what needs to be changed.
Keyword voices. Guys.
So please come out on Saturday, January 25th, to all Yapis citizens here on Guam, to the FSM Consulate office at 1 p.m. There will be refreshments, I heard.
All right, so Filipin, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Sorry.
It's been an awesome talk, and that pretty much concludes another episode of the One Micronesia podcast. It has been great. Thank you so much. All right, that wraps it up. We'll see you guys at the next one. Thank you, and we'll see you guys.